Hi everyone, good day. By the way, my name is Aaron Ladube and I would like to introduce my group mates. And we are BSHM 2.1B. This video, I would like to present 10 Filipino artists and their artwork. And who is the 10 Filipino artists? First, Filipino artist is Arturo Lutz. Second is Pasita Abad. Third, Juan Luna. Fourth, Fernando Amorsolo. And five is Jose Hoya. Six, Carlos Batong Francisco. And seven is Eduardo uh, Maspare. Eight is Agnes Arellano. And nine is Mary May Dacana. And lastly, 10 is Vicente Manansala. And if you want to know who is the 10 Filipinos artists and artwork, please watch this video.
Pasita Abad, 1946–2004, was a modern painter born in Vasco Batanes, Philippines. She studied painting at the Corcoran School of Art in Washington and the Art Student League in New York. Upon finishing art school, she traveled the world painting, visiting more than 80 countries. She was very inventive and experimental with her painting, and her style changed continuously throughout her career, which began in the 1970s. Her art abstract emotions are compositions of color, textile, and music that were inspired by my visit to batik centers in Surakarta, ikat weaving in Sumba Batik, factories in Yogyakarta, as well as trip to Aboriginal lands in Australia, Northern Territory. Rosita's painting is characterized by vibrant color, constant change, experimentation, and development. Her early paintings were primarily socio-political works of people. Arturo Luz, a Filipino printmaker, sculptor, designer, and founding member of the modern neo-realist in School Philippine Art. Luz became the founding director of the Metropolitan Museum of Manila, a position he held until 1986. His international show include the Philippine Cultural Exhibition held in New York, 1953.
One of the earliest global-known Filipino artists was Juan Luna de San Pedro y Navicio Ancheta, better known by his stage name Juan Luna. He was well known for his political activism during the Philippine Revolution in the late 19th century, in addition to his artistic ability. As a painter and artist in the Philippines, Luna was among the first to gain recognition. His writing was mostly geared toward the European academics of the period, so it was filled with numerous illustrations from literature and history. In addition to this, there was an undercurrent of political and social commentary in his painting, which is underlined by the touch of romanticism. Dramatic stanzas and theatrical scenes also dominated Luna's artwork. His paintings are typically strong, obvious, and energetic. Spolarium 1884, one of his most well-known works, was brought to the Madrid Exposición Nacional de Bellas Artes, where Luna was the first recipient of the 3 gold medals given out at the exhibition. Fernando Mersolo was raised in a tiny village, which served as the basis for his artistic career. His mother had to work to support him after the loss of his father when he was just 11 years old. Mersolo started his painting career when he was 13 and started working as De La Rosa's apprentice. His talent of managing light is what makes him most well known. Illuminated landscapes, which were utilized to portray the culture, history, and a way of life of Filipino people, are indeed his most well-known painting style and method. In order to emphasize the natural light in his painting, Amersolo invented the backlighting techniques. This method became his signature and is regarded as one of his greatest contributions to Filipino painting culture. Amersolo created historical paintings, portraits, and sketches in addition to this. His primary painting approach changed from portraying landscape to expressing the horrific nature of war and terrible impact on the lives of the Filipino during and after the Second War. His honors and accomplishments include the Outstanding University of the Philippines Alumnus Award in 1940, a gold medal from the UNESCO National Commission in 1959, and the Republic Cultural Heritage Award in 1963. Filipino artist Fernando Amersolo is the most well-known.
Carlos Botong Francisco, the poet of Angono, single-handedly revived the forgotten art of mural and remaining its most distinguished practitioner for nearly 3 decades. He was invariably linked with the modernist artists, performing with Vittorio C. Edades and Gallo Ocampo. What was then known in the local art circle as the triumvirate are perspective. In this art, Harana, one of the way of man to court a Filipina, also it shown one of the culture of being Filipino. Jose Hoya is considered the pioneer and foremost abstract expressionist painter of the Philippines. His work is characterized by calligraphic gesture and liner force and a sense of color vibrance emanating from an oriental sensibility or perspective to hills of Nico. These are what not connected to any historical event, but it tells about vivid color, excessive amount of uncertainty, and joy.
Eduardo Masfara background info. Eduardo Masfara was a Filipino-Catalan photographer who made important documentary reports about the lifestyle of negative people in the region of the Cordillera in the Philippines at the middle of the 20th century. He regarded as the father of the Philippine photography. Born in April 18, 1909 and died June 24, 1995. History of art. The local artist who passed away in 1995 at the age of 86 has left quite an anthropological legacy. In 1934, Masfara started documenting life in the Cordilleras, the mountainous areas of northern Luzon, beautifully capturing the spirit of the region in his photos. He covered everything from village life to landscape to architectural style, but his ultimate collecting was that of the native Igorot people, many of whom were proud headhunters. Today, 60 years later, almost all of the tribal groups have modernized and are increasingly integrated into mainstream Filipino society. After working as a photographer for 22 years, Eduardo Masfara returned to farming in 1956 to support his growing family while his son took over the photo studio in Bontoc. Part of Masfara photo collecting can be seen at the Fantastic Bontoc Museum, ethnological treasure trove as well as in several of Sagada's restaurant and hotel. His wife, Nena Maspares, still lives in Sagada, and it is said that whenever the door to her house is open, she opened to receiving visitor. Unfortunately, while we were there, her front door remained closed. Perspective of the art. My perspective in discovery made in Sagada has nothing to do with hiking through mountain or crawling through caves, but rather with amazing art, the black and white photography of Eduardo Maspare. Agnes Arellano background. Agnes Arellano, born in San Juan Rizal in 1949, belonged to a prominent family of architects. She studied psychology at the University of the Philippines. After she graduated in 1971, she took up further studies and enrolled in master's degree in clinical psychology at the Ateneo de Manila. History of art. Carcass Cornucopia is based on the Indo-Aryan myth at the birth of the universe as the rising apart of explosion of the first bovine. We see the appended Mitahang bovine with her bump right asunder in the most graphic manner. My perspective of the art is expression of emotion, passion, and feelings like throwing tiny bits of your soul out there for the world to see beauty.
Vicente Manansala was a Filipino artist, which is known for his cubist paintings and prints. Because of the contemporary Filipino life, Vicente Manansala are able to address the issues of intimacy, poverty, and culture. Manansala's compound social commentary with painting had a Manansala's compound social commentary with painting had a profound influence on the younger Filipino artists of his generation. The artwork Sungka, which was made in 1979 by Vicente Manansala, and it shows Filipinos one of the most popular board game. The traditional game which became a witness of the Philippine civilization across the centuries. Sungka has become their pastime. May it be with their friends or with their families, although it originally started as an amusement for ladies only. I think the artwork Sungka is one of the great artworks that Vicente Manansala made, because it shows how Filipino traditionally spends their time. Although there are issues arising in their lives, they still know how to spend time for themselves. Benedicto Cabrera, or also called as Ben Cobb, is a Filipino painter. He is known for the abstract and realistic figure and genre painting, handmade paper, and sculpture. Ben Cobb is more popularly known widely as a master of contemporary Philippine art. Ben Cobb's artwork, Crisis in Humanity, is part of the exhibition for human rights themed. His work shows the phenomenon was used as a sublime statement against the era of resurgent fascism. His work shows the phenomenon was used as a sublime statement against the era of resurgent fascism and brazen historical His work shows the phenomenon was used as a sublime statement against the era of resurgent fascism and brazen historical revisionism. Ben Cobb joined the Karapatan of Artists stands for human rights with this Crisis in Humanity artwork. The artwork shows great depth of the people's humanity being in crisis. You can feel how deep the humanity is sinking and You can feel how deep the humanity is sinking and it being in crisis.